Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jim Kleiber Show. Today is Wednesday, December 16th, 2020. I'm Jim Kleiber, if you haven't noticed. And what to talk about today? It's snowing. It's nice. I think it's like the first main snow that we've had here in Michigan, where it's sticking to the ground a little bit and just reminds me that the seasons do change, that things come and things go. And hopefully this Friday we will have another vaccine that's approved by the FDA, and many of us will start getting vaccinated over this time. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for basically just getting back to human touch, interacting with strangers again, having this huge collection, this collective moving forward together. And that's what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is this idea of working together, trusting other people to help us, other people trusting us to help them, and basically how we feel when we don't trust others or we don't feel connected to others. So, what's the story that starts this off? I've had a lot of dreams over this time, this pandemic time, and I think a common theme through many of the dreams is me thinking about a relationship in my life that has kind of broken or become more distant. And a lot of times it's my fault. I'm the person who didn't reach back out. I'm the person who's been hiding. I'm the person who's been feeling ashamed or embarrassed. And yet I keep having these dreams about these people and wanting to reconnect and rebuild the relationship. And it reminds me of this movie that I saw way back. I think it was in college when I first saw it. It's called Into the Wild. I don't know if you've seen it before. I think it's based on, I think it was a Jack London book. I'm not sure. Maybe not. But it's about a guy. Actually, it's not a Jack London book. Not even close. It was John Krakauer who wrote it. And it's about a guy who graduates from college and then goes on this cross-country trek, a lot of it by himself, and then ends up quite alone and realizes the power in society, in being really connected to others and having good relationships with others. Basically, this idea that we as humans can't survive alone, that we're highly social animals and we need help from other humans. And if not other humans, then at least other animals, but almost certainly other humans. And when we don't believe that these people are looking out for us or caring for us, so when we don't think that they have good intentions for us, it can drive us further and further apart. And when we don't think that they have the capability to help us, then we can also get really frustrated and distance ourselves more. And I think it can lead us into this spiral of kind of a loneliness or a depression in a way, or just kind of anxiety or stress, or at least for myself, I haven't seen it, people talk about this phrase depression, and it doesn't resonate so much with me. But what I have noticed is that the more distant I feel from people, the more stressed I often feel, because I think that people can't resolve my problems or the problems of the world, and I get angry and stressed, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to do it. So tying it back into the vaccine, part of me just stepping back and going, listen, there are so many humans around the world who have done magical things to make this vaccine happen. We are working together. There are so many people who are looking out for me. It's amazing. So many people are looking out for me and the people I really care about. And I can just feel myself relax. It's almost like sometimes if we're at think about it, being in a group of people and trying to sleep and thinking that nobody's going to stay up and stay on guard. Maybe they'll come and they'll hurt us in the middle of the night. But then having 2 or 3 people and you trust that will stay up and will protect you. We sleep like babies. We sleep so well. Weird phrase, because a lot of babies don't sleep too well. But we can sleep so well when we trust that the people around us are taking care of us and taking care of the people that we want to take care of. And I speak for myself. I can't speak for other people, but I know that in many ways I trust people's intentions, but don't necessarily trust their capabilities. And just starting to see how much stress that's added to me. For example, if I'm going to run an emotional self-defense class today, and I'm the only one who runs emotional self-defense right now, because I haven't trusted other people, because I haven't taught them and trusted them and encouraged them and giving them the opportunity to run classes like that. And so I put a lot of stress on myself. I need to show up today, because if I don't show up, the class doesn't happen. Same thing with this podcast. This podcast is me. And if I don't show up, the podcast doesn't happen. I don't trust other people I haven't trusted other people to hold the baton or to lift it up and to play different roles. And I think I'm just starting to see how much stress that's adding to my life. How are you? Do you trust a lot of people to do the things that you think you need to do? Do you think that they're intentionally going to do it wrong? Or do you think that they just don't know any better? This kind of, is it intentional or is it intentionality or incompetence? That kind of question that I think we can ask ourselves a lot of times. I know I've asked that a lot when it comes to politics in this country. Are they doing this on purpose, or are they just too stupid? They don't know what they're doing, or a little bit of both. And I typically will default into one of those two instead of giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're trying and that they have the ability, but maybe they're just swamped with other things. Maybe they are overwhelmed with other stuff as well. So just thinking about this concept of, we talk about trusting others and how important it is for society and this and that, but how important is it for our own well-being? How do we feel when we don't trust others to help us and to help others? Like I said, I can feel really stressed. I can feel really anxious. I can feel really nervous. I can feel really scared. I can feel really frustrated and angry. Like, I'm the only one who I have to do this all by myself. No, I actually don't have to do this all by myself. There's lots of people who are excited to help. I just often don't let them. There are a lot of people. I mean, I think for most of us, helping is one of the things that brings us the most joy and the most satisfaction in life, to be able to extend our arms and help somebody in need. And then, ironically, when we're on the receiving end, we often don't let those people help us. And maybe it's because we've let people in the past help us and they have hurt us. And they've hurt us because they either didn't care, we think either they didn't care, or we think that they just didn't know what they were doing. It's they bumble and they're clumsy and they knock things down and break things, and then we get frustrated and we say, I'm not going to do this again. But then how much stress do we place on ourselves to try to do it alone? I don't know. I found this worthy to explore today, because I think in some elements of our lives, we may be more trusting of others than in other elements. We may trust people's intentions in one sphere and not in another sphere. We may trust people's abilities in one sphere and not in another. So while maybe I trust people's intentions when it comes to romantic relationships, but I don't trust their intentions when it comes to politics. Or maybe I trust people's abilities when it comes to something that I'm not good at. But when it comes to something that I'm very good at, or I think I'm very good at, then I don't trust their abilities. But what does it look like instead of imagining what it looks like if we don't trust people? What does it look like if we do trust people more? If we do believe in their intentions and their capabilities, and even just saying that, I feel relaxed. Oh, I don't have to go out and help everyone. There are other people that can help other people. Oh, that's great. Wait, I don't have to do this by myself. Other people can jump in and help out. Oh, that's great. I think it's sometimes that feeling, at least the feeling that I've had, when I'd come home for the holidays and be visiting my parents or something, and know that, my parents know how to take care of the house. They know how to take care of the food. They know how to take care of everything. So I can just sit there, and when I come home, I can just relax and I can sleep. Just sleep, knowing that everything is taken care of. Oh, that deep sound sleep. You know what I'm talking about, right? That feeling of other people got it. People have my back. They know what they're doing, and I don't have to worry about it. Oh, so when somebody says, I got you, and you believe them. Listen, I got you, no problem. And you're like, oh, thank goodness. It's getting into a car with somebody who knows where they're going. Not having to worry that they're going to drive off the road or going to get lost. Oh, I can just sit and relax. I'm in good hands now. Good hands and good hearts. Maybe that's a good phrase. Good hands. And yet I think so many of us can get stuck in this feeling distant from people. People burn us, people hurt us, and then we slowly become more and more distant from them and from other people. Because, we may take what they did to us and project it on others. Maybe this person cheated on us if we're in a relationship, however you define cheating. Often it comes in the form of lying and hiding things. Okay, maybe this person lied to us for a couple of years and then we found out. And then we've lost trust. We don't know. We can't take this person at their word. Can we also not take other people at their word? How much has that transgression influenced our interactions with others? So I think about this a lot when it comes to politics and society as well, because how can one incident color the way that we look? One incident with one person color the way that we look at incidences with other people. Maybe we got drafted, or we know someone who got drafted into the Vietnam War and may have died or come back, really destroyed in some ways, physically or emotionally. And then from that, we distrust the government from making decisions, but we also distrust authority, and we also distrust the military, and also distrust various sources. Maybe we also distrust people from Vietnam, or we also distrust people, not just Vietnamese, but like more generally from Eastern Asia, Southeast Asia. Because of maybe one incident or one thing that happened. And then how much do we put pressure on ourselves to try to solve the problem all by ourselves without using help from others? I talk about this a lot, and I had a conversation with a friend the other day about this and how we can distrust. Sorry, I just saw a comment that totally made no sense to me. Number 88 is racist. I'm confused. Whatever. How we can distrust other people in our lives and how it can bleed into other aspects of our lives. Someone who, maybe a guy who's in a relationship and maybe has money, and then his wife steals a lot of money from him, divorces him, steals a lot of money from him, and steals his kid from him even. Or at least that's how he perceives it. And so now when he gets into a future relationship, now he's really worried, really worried that the next woman will do the exact same thing. And so by being so worried about it, by being so stressed that he has to do everything himself, not being able to trust the woman in his life, even though he absolutely loves this woman, not being able to trust her can lead him to take certain behaviors and to feel certain things, which can lead her to take certain behaviors and feel certain things, right? It hurts to feel untrusted. It hurts to feel distant from the people we really care about, especially when that person seems to be running away from us. It also hurts when we run away from others too. And so I think these little transgressions can push us, the rejections, the guilt trippings, the being ignored, the lying, the cheating, the betrayal, even the compliments and the affection and the obsession in some ways, or just being ignored or being indifferent or apathetic or not listening. These things can really push us away sometimes. And as we go further and further or farther and farther away from people, we can start to believe that we're the only ones that can solve these problems, that we're the only ones who have the capability to do this. Nobody else knows what they're doing, or nobody else cares. We're the only one who cares about this. Everyone else doesn't care. They're either against it or they're apathetic and indifferent. And that can place so much pressure on us to do things that we can't do alone. We can't do so many of these things alone. And again, even if we can do them alone, it can place so much stress on us to have to do it alone. I've thought about when I've run workshops in Germany, and we would have a team typically of 4 trainers, and then we would have about minimum two people running the kitchen and the logistics, and maybe a shadow trainer. So we'd have like an assistant trainer that was there to learn. So like 5 trainers basically, and at least 2 in logistics and kitchen, maybe 1 or 2 others. So you're looking at a team of at least 7 people, typically 9 people. And yeah, we'd have about 35 or 40 participants. So if I got sick, it's okay. They got it. This happened in one of the workshops. One of the head trainer and the head organizer for the whole project got sick, got like really sick, like fever and stuff I think he's like out for like 2 days, basically. 2 days of the workshop. The workshop was only like, maybe it's 2 or 3 days. The workshop was like 7 days. And so he's out sick and we're scrambling. Oh, what do we have to do now? But and this one, we didn't have that many trainers. I think it was just me and him. And then we had 1 shadow trainer. But the shadow trainer was experienced, and he jumped in, and me and the shadow trainer took over, and logistics was fine, and everything was fine. And so there's just a lot more, what do you want to call it? Resilience, maybe. It's a little more robust, or I would say resilient when there's more people there, because things happen. Sometimes we don't sleep well, sometimes we get sick, sometimes we make mistakes, and to know that there are other people there to pick us up can be really, can take a lot of that stress off of us, can give us a lot of relief, feeling of comfort, feeling of hope. Yeah. So maybe this is just kind of a spiraling conversation talking about what are the effects of not trusting the people around us in romantic relationships, in business, in the academic or the educational setting, in the political setting. When we don't trust people around us, then we think politicians are stupid and they don't care about us, and so we yell and we're angry about the politicians. So then we spend a lot of time monitoring what the politicians are doing, and we're looking over their shoulders and we're trying to think, how can we fix this? How can we fix this? What can we do? What can we do? This. And then it can be so stressful because there's not much we can do as an individual on a political level. Sure, maybe there is in terms of running for office and that, but that requires so many people. Almost any endeavor we do in life requires people. I think part of me is, I don't know if it's out of lack of trust or if it's out of fear of attachment or fear of, as my one friend put it, changing my lifestyle. As I do more things with more people, there become stronger bonds. And as they become more bonded to me or to the project or whatever, I also become more bonded to them or to the project or whatever. And that can make it more difficult for me to travel or to move places or to start new things, because it's hard to start new things when you have lots of connections to old things. So perhaps that's one of the reasons. And I also think there is that element of just not trusting that people will do it as well as I want it to be done, and worrying that they won't care enough or they won't have the capabilities to do it as well as I think it needs to be done. And again, that's an attitude that I can have towards business. It's also an attitude I can have towards helping people with emotions. It's an attitude I can have towards politics. It's an attitude I can have towards many different things. And I don't think I'm alone in that, ironically. I think this idea of distrusting others, not thinking that they can do it, is not something that is unique to me. Again, I think personally I fall into the belief that others care but don't have the capability, whereas I think other people may fall into the idea that others are capable but they don't care, or maybe even worse, they're against me. So I don't know. I think we all have different things we can work on to reestablish these connections and these relationships we have with other people, to feel more close to other people. Because when we feel close to people, that's when people can help us, and that's when we can help other people. It's really hard to help someone who has all these walls and barriers around them, who anytime you reach out to them, they run away, or anytime you reach out to them, they lash out at you, and pushing you away. It's like, just think about it in terms of getting physically close to someone. It's maybe easier to demonstrate this on video than audio, but as the two people approach each other, if one person latches out with a punch, the other person will typically run away. So one person gets too close and the other person runs away. Now, at the same time, as you get closer, if one person starts to run away, then it increases distance, even if it doesn't lash out with a punch. So it's really hard to get too close. And maybe this is the essence of many of our interactions. It's not that we have to stay close or keep getting closer. It's that many times we'll get close, and then by being so close, we'll push apart a little bit. Someone will push the other one away because they're too close, or the other person will run away because they feel too close. And then it's about coming back together. So maybe it's this oscillation in life where we come together, then we go apart, then we come together and we go apart. I think it can be dangerous to us and to others, meaning it can cause a lot of harm to us as we keep going away and we don't start to come back together. It's almost like the heartbeat. It's if you look at a heart monitor, it goes up and it goes down. If it just goes down, or if it just goes up, it can run away. It's this idea of maintaining homeostasis, that we need to come together and go apart, and we need to play with this. It's something they talk a lot about in salsa dancing, actually. Salsa rueda, it's a Cuban style. Salsa casino, maybe. Is that the tension of coming together and going apart, coming together and going apart, adds a lot of dynamism to the dance, and also seems to mirror many aspects of life quite well. We have a question in the comments: what happens if you just hug the other person? Well, it depends if the other person wants to be hugged or not. As you go close, if the one person leans in to hug, the other person may go, whoa, 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 you're too close, and back up. Or if one person leans in to hug, the other person may get angry and punch that person or push that person away. Who are you? Why are you trying to hug me? Because it was encroaching too much on their space. Or Sometimes you lean out to hug and the other person feels relaxed and leans in, and then you both hug. So there's a variety of responses that can happen to it. Again, sometimes when we show love to someone, which we could exemplify with a hug, we show love to someone, sometimes that can make them run away. Sometimes they respond with indifference. Sometimes they respond with hate, in some ways. But sometimes they do respond with love as well. So it's tricky in the specific interaction. And one thing that I'm trying to get better at is trying to respond to any of these situations with love. Oh, goodness, it's hard. I can count maybe 5 or 10 interactions or relationships I have over this last year where I haven't responded so well with love. And I keep kind of procrastinating and pushing it down the road because I'm afraid. I'm really afraid sometimes of that connection. Because when we trust someone really well, we can get hurt. But and they know it, because they know us really well. And we open up and we get really close. It's hard to hurt somebody. Physically, it's hard to hurt somebody when you're really far apart. But when you're really close, it's easy to hurt somebody. You have access to all the body parts and you can pull, squeeze, stab, do whatever you want from up really close. So when people are emotionally close to us, they as well can do all those things. But you know what? They also can bring us a lot of love and a lot of joy and a lot of peace and comfort and security. So I don't know. I'm grateful for this space to reflect. I hope it helps you in some ways reflect a little more about how much you trust people, how much you don't trust people, how close you feel to people, how distant you feel. Maybe on another episode we can talk about the challenges about feeling close to a lot of people in a society that may not accept that. Right? I think a lot of times in society, we're only supposed to feel close to the people in our family. We're not supposed to have too close of relationships with the people we work with, or the people in our neighborhood, or the people of a different generation, especially if that generation is younger. Sometimes we're not supposed to have too close relationships with people who are younger. And just how society in general, which means us, our culture and our beliefs collectively, seem to sometimes discourage us from having very close relationships with a lot of people. So anyways, hope you all feel maybe a little more hope, knowing that, yes, there are other people out there that are doing almost the same things that we're doing with the same intention. Making similar apps or videos to what I'm doing right now, and saying a lot of the same things with the same intention, the same capability, and that we're not alone, and no matter how hard we try, we will never be alone. So thanks, y'all. Hope you have a good one, and take care, y'all.